And I think you have a special presentation.
We do. Tonight is a pretty significant night in the history of our school as we close out our 20th anniversary year. And as I mentioned earlier, Bill Puryear, who was there from the very beginning, and if you look at the photos when we scroll them again, you will see him in the middle of a big field of property that they were looking over to determine just how the school would sit on the land that the school is now built upon. Bill has been instrumental in every stage and phase of Pope John Paul II High School, and he still continues to impact today. About 6 months ago, Bill and I had lunch, and in the course of our lunch, we discussed a really beautiful project, and he was gracious enough to play the game, and he is going to tell us about this wonderful contribution he's made to JPII Pope Prep. So Bill, I'm going to bring you the mic and turn this program over to you. Bill Puryear.
Forgive me for not going to the podium, but following a speaker like Hans Butler is kind of like telling a joke on the same stage with Bob Hope. And I don't feel able to do it, and I'm a little down in the back, so you'll forgive me, stay out of view. As I heard all this tonight and saw all the good people here, so many of whom I know, I felt myself in the presence of a miracle. And I'm going to tell you why you are that miracle. About 30 years ago, when I converted to Catholicism, Bishop Chobe got me on the finance board with some of you. And in one of the earliest meetings, Bishop Kimmick said, Bill said, I want to tell a word with you. I thought, oh no, what have I done? You know, I've heard about the discipline here. Well, so I went into his office and he said, we're going to have a school to the north of the river, and I'd like for you to be the treasurer. And I said, well, tell me about it. He said, well, we haven't yet chosen the name, and he mentioned two names, both of which you know very well. But then Monroe Carroll, that many of you knew, who had the parking system, very successful, very generous with the church, visited with Pope John Paul II and came back and said, we must name the school Pope John Paul II. And I'm giving you a grant of $5 million to the shit that you do. And we did. When I signed a $28 million note, and we didn't have any money at all, hadn't even bought the property yet, I realized that only a miracle would make this work. Bringing a school like this into a Protestant area, and on the less prosperous side of town, because there were plenty of people that wanted the school in Brentwood bad. that a miracle was needed. Well, I prayed about it and the miracle started right away. Because we had a construction period to go through, and I was able to invest that money at 6% in short-term paper, and immediately the interest rates began to drop precipitously. And so we made enough money on that exchange to build a football field. Just gratuitous money, out of the blue. Never thought of it, couldn't budget it or anything. Then we went through the recruitment of staff. Carolyn Baker's here with me, and she and I and Bill Golfers were active in that. And talk about persuasive. All of a sudden I found myself riding around town with Carol and Hans in a Volkswagen convertible with a top down, a red Volkswagen convertible. We went to dinner at Houston's, and you thought I was there with an opera star, because here they come in with these bundles of flowers, these bouquets. So Carolyn was sending me flowers. And Hans, you talk about falling in love. I think I did too. Who could resist her? And Hans said, no, said, I'm at a monastery school there in Little Town, Arkansas, and said, we've got 20 or 30 monks to be free child care specialists for my children. And said, I think I've got it about as good as you can get it, everything paid for. So then, if you excuse a personal reference, my wife was a superb cook, and all the priests that came in and loved him told me we couldn't keep him away if he needed to. He appeared one day at Christmas dinner with him. He was coming. She was an excellent cook, the most beautiful woman in the world, and sweet. So we got there, and he said no. Positive or not, I'm not going to do it. So we got the plans from the architect, and we spread them out on the floor. And we said, now here's the entrance, and here's this section, classrooms, and here's the music and art, JJ. And he said, well, you ought to move this over here, and why can't you squeeze this here, and maybe you could lower the ceiling, blah, blah, blah. I knew he was hooked. So we got Hans, and we got J.J. Everard from St. Cecilia, American campus. And then he was, Hans was so good at luring teachers away from the schools that we got the best ones from Gallatin. We got Karen Huber, Betty Mayberry, Jennifer Dye, Coach Stevenson. And I won't call it stealing, but it sure was good recruiting. And Gallatin was never the same. I'm a graduate of Gallatin. Then the next challenge was for students. And so we started having these tent revivals on Caldwell Lane, and Hans would speak, and he was as persuasive with people around here as he was everywhere. And so we filled up classes, and everything seemed to go right by the grace of God. Now, let me talk just one more minute now through about the value of our franchise. The first miracle, and this is a miraculous group over here, was with the Poles when a guy named Carol Wittiger was elected Pope, and he got to be buds with Ronald Reagan, who respected his courage. He lived under the Nazis, had a theology school under the Nazis, and then when the Russians came, they were just as bad, if not worse, in Poland. And God must have intervened, because the communists allowed him be elected a cardinal and go to Rome. And when they saw what they had there, they elected him Pope. Imagine a Polish Pope. I mean, that's just beyond reason. So he was invited back to Poland by Lech Walesa and others. And Bill Donovan, who was the chairman of the CIA, had all these wonderful shots from the satellites. And so he goes to Poland. We didn't know what was going to happen. The Germans, the Russians were scared to death. They circled Warsaw with tanks. People came from everywhere, so much so that it was black. Every road was covered. People coming in to see their native son Pope. And in the middle of this dark black circle, there was one point of white light, one man with a white cassock on, and that was Pope John Paul II. And the Russians stayed back, and John Paul II, we now have his name. Now, there have been a lot of popes, like the Medicis, who were bad people, so just saying Pope is not always a positive thing, especially in a Protestant area like Middle Tennessee. But everybody knows Pope John Paul II, and he went to the bitter end with Parkinson's. He never flinched. He gave us an example of bravery, courage under occupation, prayer, and enduring suffering to the very last moment. He didn't retire. So I say that we have here at Pope John Paul II High School a saint, Saint John Paul II. And I painted a picture of the school, and can we show that? I used to be a CPA, but I wasn't very good at that. But I'm practicing to be a painter. This is the painting, and you're all welcome to come see it. And Mike McLaren is in it. You see that guy in the red shirt as the ref striding down the field? There he is. So I'm going to have some prints made of this and give them to you all, and you can do what you want to with it. We can maybe, it's still a work in progress. I've got to complete some of the details. But you can see the concept I had in mind. And they wanted me to, they gave me some reference material that just showed the school itself. But I thought you needed action because this school has a great athletic program for the mind and body. And take a look at it on your way out. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bill. We appreciate this beautiful gift to our school. If you don't know a lot about Bill Puryear, which I think in this room that's probably not a thing, but Bill is a historian, an artist, and we have many of his paintings in our school, and this is the first time he's ever painted our school. And so this is very meaningful and very appropriate in our 20th year of operation. And like Bill mentioned, we will be selling prints. So tonight, before you leave, if you would like to pre-order your print, Kyle Reynolds will be up on the stage, and you can order those through him.
Most of you don't have room for a painting that big. Your man, you already filled those spaces. So I suggested that she make prints that about half that size, about 18 by 24, and that they're probably better size for you.
Thank you, Bill. And in honor of tonight, in honor of this beautiful gift that you give in the school, Bill, our founding department chair for the Fine Arts Department and director of our chorus is going to lead us in the alma mater, which is on your table. And while you're finding the words, I wanted to invite all of you to a reception tomorrow at JPII Prep from 10 a.m. until noon, where we'll be hosting a reception for Hans, who will be here for one more day. The Webbers, like I told you earlier, have to jet out early in the morning and are unable to attend. But please feel free to linger after you sing the alma mater and enjoy each other's company. And we appreciate all of you coming out tonight in honor of Betty and in honor of Karen and Jody McLaren. We hope you know how much we share in your missing of Mike, and we hope you feel blessed by his time at JPII, because we certainly do, and he left an indelible mark on everyone in this room. So thank you for being here tonight. Jacob?
Are we ready for a 7-minute stretch to sing the alma mater? I know there are several choral students of mine, so I'd like to hear a little harmony, please. Feels good to stand up.
Tell you what,